What if I told you everything that you know about life was going to change? How you game, how you eat, how you shop, how you hang out with your friends, and even how you go to work. There's a lot to this, and it's going to get really exciting. So right now, how many of you guys heard of Facebook? Just by raise of hands? Yeah, all right. Some of y'all didn't raise your hand. I know y'all know what Facebook is. Well, they recently rebranded themselves into something called the Meta, and this is where it got started. There's another company here called Microsoft, and if you didn't hear about this, they went ahead and acquired Activision Blizzard for $70 billion. This is huge. Activision made games like Call of Duty. On top of that, Google also invested $39.5 million into private equity funds for the Metaverse. So why is this happening? These are some of our largest tech giants that are placing bets into something we really don't know. They've been pretty spot on in the last few years, and I can imagine maybe they know a few things or two that we don't. So, have you guys seen any of these movies? Yeah? Ready Player One, Matrix? That was a little bit before my time, but I watched it in the catalogs, the ancient catalogs. I still liked it a lot. There was another show called Black Mirror. I really enjoyed that through the pandemic. What all three of these movies had in common was this digital reality. Some of them were more scary. Matrix, the dodging bullets, a little scary. Agent John, Ready Player One showed us different perspectives. Black Mirror showed us additional perspectives. This is where Metaverse really got started because we started to see it online in the digital version. We started to hear about it before it started happening today. So moving forward, something caused the Metaverse to accelerate. The Metaverse was inevitable. It will happen, but something accelerated that. And that something was a pandemic. I'm sure most of you guys have experienced the pandemic if you guys are with us today here. This was huge. A lot of us couldn't go to work. Lockdowns were terrible for some people. We had 168 million children who missed out on a full 1 year of school. A lot of kids. On top of that, we had social functions, concerts, restaurants, gatherings. We were all forced to be inside home. Do you guys remember that? The shutdowns kind of sucked. So where does that lead us? 2020, 2021, 2022. Where are we now? Well, the shutdowns forced a few things. We actually had incidents where, because we were isolated, we started to value more about things on social media, on our phone. Because I couldn't hang out with the boys, the way I could keep up with them was through video games or through FaceTime or through Instagram. We started to really value what we saw on the digital age. We started to value more of how many followers we have, how many likes we get on a post, how many views we're getting on our story. Or has this ever happened to anyone where you post a sick selfie, like, I'm looking amazing, you post it, and then like 5-10 seconds later on Facebook or Instagram, you just delete it. Like, maybe I don't look that good. Why do we do this? Like, why does that happen? It's because we really value the way we look in the digital age. We care about how we look on the digital presence a little bit more than how we might look in real life. I know some of y'all look a little different on your Facebook versus real life. Hey, I'm one of those too. I'm a catfish sometimes too. I've seen it happen. Human connections are necessary, though, for people to thrive. We need interaction. This is how we've continued to evolve over the past few years. Let me tell you this. Depression in the United States, before the pandemic, 8.5% of all people had depression, reportedly, by the Boston University. And during the middle of the pandemic, 32.8%. Huge number. Why did it go up? So a lot of this went because of the social isolation. If you're extroverted, you know how much of a killer it is to be stuck inside your home. If you have a family and maybe you have some kids, it is tough. It is not easy. I've heard the stories. So let's talk about how the metaverse will change. Why has this even done anything? What even is the metaverse? We are at a point right now where we're seeing this physical convergence, right, with the digital world too. When we start valuing how we look more on the digital side, we then start moving forward into a digital future. The metaverse is what's next. This is a three-dimensional world where, as you guys are watching me, imagine Imagine you're watching me in a digital world where you can't even tell the difference, where you could be walking around a three-dimensional version of yourself in this alternative universe. That's the metaverse. Think about the words. Universe is physical, metaverse. Meta is an alternative reality. It's going to be an additional layer on top of where we are today. So a lot of this was first started by this year, the gaming industry. You guys might have heard of Fortnite, Minecraft, RuneScape, Second Life. These are some games that gave us a feeling of what the metaverse could be like. I know a lot of kids really like Fortnite these days and Minecraft, and it showed us a lot of principles of where this started. So some of these games actually allow you to make money. You could level up your character. You could buy skins, sell your account to someone. You can find in-game economies that are completely existent. I didn't think that we would continue to expand past this, but it gets really, really interesting here. During the pandemic, while everything was on lockdown, there was this one game called Axie Infinity. Has anyone ever heard of it? Nah, it's all good. I didn't expect so. So you probably heard of Pokemon though, right? Yeah. So imagine like Pokemon, just a little beat up version of it. You got these cute little things called Axies, and you pretty much battle each other with them. You tell your Axie, go fight that thing, and you earn experience points. But what was interesting about this is you can actually do something with those experience points. This game had 35% of their traffic coming from the Philippines. That's 2.5 million users. The reason for this is because people in the Philippines were able to make money from this game. When they were told by their government, you cannot go to work, and they had mouths to feed, and they had people that were looking after them, and they couldn't take care of them, they had to resort to something. This game was a crypto game. It was a play-to-earn game. It's a step in the right direction of what Metaverse and other play-to-earn games entail. Axie Infinity reported that players were able to earn $155 to $195 a month. So when you get those experience points, you get something called SLPs, smooth love potions. You can change that into, you can actually change that into money. You can actually convert that into USDC. You could convert that then into just money in your bank account or wherever you live in the country. Now you might think, yo, Brian, like $155 a month, that ain't nothing, man. That's like a few meals, but it's actually a lot if you're living in other less fortunate, less developed countries. This was enough to feed the lives of people who are struggling and didn't know what to do. So gaming is cool, but let's admit it, like not all of us are gamers. I used to game a lot, but I don't anymore. What we can all relate to is socialization. We talk to one another. We hang out with one another. And here on your screen is an individual, Travis Scott, and that is exactly what he looks like in real life. If you didn't know, he grossed $20 million for his performance within Fortnite. So Fortnite's one of those games. He had a performance within it. He drew 12.3 million players. He had a virtual concert. This is really important because a single night on one of his best tours brought him in only $1.7 million compared to that 20. It held a capacity of 50,000 people. But even get this, in that concert, 300 people got injured. 10 died in a stampede. There were people who were dying because of this concert. They did not make as much money as they could. People got hurt. People died. This is the limitations of the physical world. But when it comes to virtual worlds, you might be asking yourself, well, dude, physical concerts, the vibes are better. It's like, I can actually hear them and feel the sweat and everything. We're just at a point right now where Metaverse and this technology hasn't expanded. But let me assure you, we are getting there. And that experience you may feel in the physical world, imagine that amplified. Also, imagine not having to use gross little porta potties or driving in like 20-minute traffic lots to go to a concert. Imagine being able to do this cheaper, more effectively, and then also just getting this more immersive experience that you never could before. But how about this? Because I don't really go to concerts that much either. What about fashion? We're all probably dressed in a way where, we want to make sure we're looking sharp. Well, this is where things get really interesting too. So Nike, they went ahead and acquired a company called Artifact. Got to read that one out loud. That one got me a few times. So the reason why this acquisition was so important is because Nike, the king of the shoe game, they are now showing a presence in the metaverse. They're showing presence where if I buy a pair of new Nike kicks, I can get that in the digital form and put that on my digital self. There is value in that because if you make it limited edition or you're able to show people through the internet as well, like you got the freshest kicks and this one is one-to-one, it is mine, people have value in that. It's not just Nike. Their competitor Adidas also went in on it too. They literally have on their website called Adidas Into the Metaverse Collection, a full website already laid out where they're also making moves within the metaverse as well, planting different stores and applications within things called Decentraland, which is one of the games. Other companies, Louis Vuitton, Burberry, Gucci, I know you guys have definitely heard of them. They're moving themselves into the metaverse as well. So what is the significance of all this? Why are they doing that? Think about it like this. Instead of your physical wardrobe expanding, imagine your digital wardrobe expanding and your physical one starting to shrink. You're left with a few shirts in real life. People are going to get to a point where they start buying clothes, but in the digital world. We all go to maybe the mall up in Tyson's to buy the freshest Gucci. Imagine this. If we don't even move over into a full digital metaverse world, I hate online shopping because I have a weird, wacky build. I'm built like a cereal box. And anytime I buy clothes, it's always too tight or like too big. Imagine putting on a headset. I have a 3D avatar of myself with all my wacky dimensions, and I'm able to buy clothes, fit it onto that virtual self of mine, and then I could have it sent to my house. I could see how it looks on me from the front and the back. Wouldn't that be kind of cool? I hate going to the post office. I hate returning things. I hate that I'm a box. Well, look, metaverse. Say you don't care about clothes, fashion, none of that. But work. We all got to work. We need to put food on the table. Back during the pandemic, Zoom users grew from 10 million from December 2019 to 200 million. Do you guys also remember this? Not much with Zoom had changed. The concept was still the same. What was different? It was the fact that we were all isolated and we were forced to use it. Imagine this version, where instead of yourself just being on your Zoom computer in your meeting, imagine having a version of yourself where you're in this limitless world. You can showcase your presentation, the flow sheet, your ledger, whatever industry you're in. You can showcase it all around you. You can have these meetings with your coworkers where it feels even more immersive. Just like how I said in the beginning, instead of being on the internet, imagine yourself being in the internet. So this is huge too, education. It's the future, right? We need our kids to have proper education. But I'll tell you this, I wasn't the best in school. I dropped out. I never found myself really engaged unless I just loved the topic. Since the 1950s, education hasn't changed too much since where we are now. We have maybe a little bit more better equipment. We got some laptops and some Chromebooks and iPads, but the general principle of how we learn our material is still the same. Not much has changed. Imagine this though. Imagine through the metaverse where instead of learning about the Great Depression, where I'm seeing it in textbooks and I'm going through black and white photos to try to understand what that time was like. Imagine where I can go in the Great Depression. Imagine me talking to artificial intelligence and seeing the emotions and feeling it during that time. Imagine a time where I can learn not through textbooks, but through experience. This is the potential of the metaverse. I know little kids, it's like me back then, I couldn't really understand the concept of dinosaurs. When I saw Jurassic Park, I understood it because you could visually see it. You could kind of experience it, But when you start seeing bones and you're like, how do these bones add up to that? You're not really learning that way. We need to change the way we can learn, and I think the future is there with this type of technology. If you guys didn't know, tuition at private universities also jumped up 144%. Out-of-state tuition's up 171%. In-state tuition has grown the most at 211%. Imagine this. $1.75 trillion of student loan debt. I know some of you guys know someone or you guys have student loan debt. 46 million Americans have it as well. Imagine a future where instead of having to go to some beat-up dorm where you're paying extra money, you're able to go into the metaverse and experience a university there. Imagine not having to fly and be separated from your family, paying $50,000 a year to get the education, half of worth of what you could get within the metaverse. Imagine the first school that opens up there. So is this too good to be true? Well, there is a lot of stuff that people are saying. Stuff is going to include a lot of downsides. It's scary. Mental health issues, distorted reality, addiction. We don't know how much of this could, kind of mess with our heads. It's all new stuff. We haven't seen it before. But the growth of the metaverse is inevitable. The question is, though, what's it going to take for mass adoption? What are we going to have to do to start seeing these headsets all on our heads, looking like some zombies? Well, there's a few things. We need better user experience. This thing sucks. Look at me we need better technology. We need better user experience. I got motion sickness using this one time. This is not what's going to take us to mass adoption. Second thing we need is more availability and accessibility. We need this at different price points, different quality points. If you don't have money, you can get a budget version. If you have a lot of money, you can get the best possible version where you can enter the metaverse instantly. Third thing, we need high demand. High demand is going to come from education. It's going to come from you guys learning about this, using it on your own, and then realizing there is some potential in this, and this is kind of insane. So the future is now, and the question is, are y'all ready for what's next?